Hey everybody, this is Greg with Medical Muscle. And today I wanted to share with you guys what I've learned through term 1 up until term 5. Or now I'm starting my step prep. And how I've changed the way I've studied. Let's start with number 1, pre-reading. I was not a huge fan of pre-reading in the past. I'm not saying that you have to pre-read, but what I've found out of pre-reading is that you just get an idea of what you're going to face for that day. How I failed in the past with pre-reading is I would try to take notes, I would spend way too much time, I would try to learn the material when I hadn't even seen it. The teacher hadn't even talked about it, so there was missing things about it. Don't do that. It should take you no more than 30 minutes, per lecture. Okay, so you have 2 lectures a day, you do 30 minutes. You're just trying to get an idea of what you're about to face. You want to have an idea of what kind of things you're going to cover, okay? So that's number 1, is pre-reading. So now when you get into the lecture, what I like to do is just sit and listen, okay? Sometimes I'm doing a couple Anki cards while I'm there and just listening in as I'm doing it. But I think taking notes is a very hard thing to do, especially when the lectures are so fast. There's only 2 lectures, right? And they're only 50 minutes long, but it's equivalent to like 2 or 3 undergrad lectures. They're just so dense. So it doesn't make sense to try to type everything in as the lecture's going. I think it's a lot better just to pick up on the details that you didn't understand from your pre-reading. Okay, that's how you can be most efficient with your time in lecture. Now, post-reads. That is the most important part of this whole thing. That's when you're trying to understand the material, okay? And you're gonna spend a little bit more time doing this. For me, and this is what I wish I started doing earlier, is do Boards and Beyond or Pathoma or whatever. It's nice to hear another version of that same topic. I used to go through the lecture recordings, just very inefficient. I found it better to see another resource because sometimes, and this happens quite often, SGU will leave out some mnemonic or something that's in these alternative videos and they just explain it in a different way. It's very nice. I didn't need it in all the terms. I know people who didn't use it, so don't feel obligated, but it's a nice way to clarify things that you're struggling with. Now, I make Anki cards. Not everybody likes Anki. Some people use the pre-made decks. That's great too. What I like to do when I make my Anki cards now is I will just take a screenshot of the lecture slide and then use image occlusion to block out the sections that I thought were important. So it's nice when I'm making my own Anki cards is that's my post-read. Okay, I'm taking my time, I'm figuring out what's important, and I'm trying to understand the material. The beauty of making your own cards is that, especially in term 1, there's a lot of histo. And sometimes the images are exactly what you see in your practice questions or on the lecture slides, and it's the exact same image. And if you can memorize that image, you know the answer. You don't even have to look at the question sometimes. And that's very helpful. Sometimes the question is so vague that you have to have the image to answer the question. So, especially in term 1, histo, very important. Anki is fantastic. For things like drugs and pathways, so like biochemical pathways, I think whiteboarding is the best for me. I like to have everything out. I like to rewrite things. I try to rewrite it from memory. I make it nice and pretty on the first shot. If you need to see how to whiteboard, watch some of my other videos. What I like to do is just have a nice clean whiteboard of everything that, every drug that we covered for that module, for that exam. And then I'll take a photo of it and then try to rewrite all those drugs from memory. And I don't leave the board until I've memorized every single one. And it helps with your spatial awareness, okay? The downside with this is that it does take some time. But what's nice is that you retain it a lot better. Now, one thing I would try to shy away from, and I know some people, this is going to be kind of hard, is rewriting your notes. Handwritten or typing. Yeah, sure, Handwriting is a great way to memorize material. It brings that muscle memory. But it takes a long time, and you don't have a lot of time. You have information coming at you constantly. And what I found is, although I've memorized it and it sticks for maybe a week, doing some handwriting or something that's really, really focusing on the material and really trying to retain it, in 3 weeks you're still going to forget it. So it's more efficient to be fast and find ways to be quick through the lectures and just see them more frequently. Either rereading the lectures or doing Anki or doing pre-made deck or something like that. I find that's a lot more efficient. Now comes to questions. Questions are very important. I wish I did more questions because it shows you what you can be tested on. At first you're just trying to memorize all this information, but then how is that going to be presented to you? The only way you can do that is do more questions. So here's some options. You have Sakai, so SGU posts questions every week that they want you to kind of go through. Obviously you have those. You can go through IMCQs. And say if you're not ready for that week's Sakai questions, do old IMCQs, okay? Do ones from the first week. If you feel like you need even more questions, Google Docs that SGU students make that contain material from previous terms has a bunch of old IMCQs. Those are great. I love going through those. If you feel like you need even more questions, you can buy question banks. That's available. I don't think that's necessary. I think with this, using a Google Doc and going through old IMCQs and going through the Sakai and reviewing ESOF quizzes, I think you'd have plenty of resources. When I go through questions, I go through them with a friend. That's really important because then that way you're not just speeding through the questions. You have someone else there to sit and think about the topic. Okay, that's the nice thing. And then what's nice is you have two brains, and if one of you understand it, then you can explain it to the other person. That helps with your retention. And then vice versa. There might be a concept that you just don't understand. You don't know why you got it wrong. Someone else can make a point that you didn't think of. So it's really nice to do questions with friends. I do it all the time. It's painful to do questions. It's painful. But with a friend, it's less painful. So now let's talk about study locations. So where are you going to do your post-read? So I know after a while, people like to just study at home. And what I found is that I goof off way too much, okay? I found that having people around me studying pressures me to work a little harder, okay? And I don't have all the distraction at home, like I can't eat. I like to take little snack breaks, end up eating all day, messing around on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. So really set up your study space where you can focus, and school is such a good place to do that. All right. Another thing that I do is I delete all the apps, any social media apps off my phone. I'll re-upload them on the weekends, but I delete them off my phone so I can't easily go to it and when I struggle on some topic while I'm post-reading. So limit distractions, and that also includes maybe avoiding some of your friends. I found that I can't help myself. I can't help myself to not talk to people around me, okay? If people are sitting next to me, I just want to make some comment and get into some conversation. I just am like that. So I've realized that I just need to sequester myself in an area where it's quiet and there's nobody around me that I know. So it's really important to find a spot on campus that's conducive to your studying, all right? Now, quizzing, okay? Find another student who's better than you and meet up with them twice a week. Maybe you have lecture Monday through Wednesday, that Wednesday night, or maybe even Thursday, you cover the first half of the week, okay? And all you guys are doing is just asking each other questions for like an hour, okay, from the lectures. So you can have the lecture slides up on two computers, one person can see theirs, the other person has to keep their computer down, whatever, and you just ask questions on those slides and just see what that person knows, okay? And then you just you switch off. There's something about someone asking you a direct question and missing it, and that fear of missing it, and you get it wrong. helps you retain the information so much better. It's crazy when I've done these little study groups and I've missed questions. I never forget that stuff. That retains so well. So it's a great study tool. It's something that's you should utilize, half the week, and then over the weekend you do the second half. Something like that, twice a week. All right, now a huge chunk of your ability to retain information and continually put your body through an incredible amount of stress. Medical school is very hard on your body. It's hard mentally, emotionally, physically. You need to keep your brain and body and spirit happy. That is just as important as doing all the question, things like that, is taking care of yourself. Because the better you feel, and the better rested you are, you'll perform better. So how do you do that? Well, let's start with exercise. I exercise basically every single day. Okay, so my program is I weightlift and then I do cardio. Weightlift, cardio, weightlift, cardio. Now, I love weightlifting. I hate cardio. Luckily, SGU has a ton of extracurriculars, okay? There's so many things that you can join. You can join volleyball, soccer, basketball, ultimate frisbee. That's what I do because I hate doing cardio and that forces me to run for an hour. Running clubs, there's so much you can do. Spin clubs, all of that. So I think it's really good to join one of these clubs so that it can force you to exercise. You get to meet people too. But yeah, exercise, really important. So why? Well, for your brain, you need oxygen. Your brain needs oxygen, and what a better way is to do cardio, right? So it's good for your brain, it's good for your memory retention. They've proven this, so you gotta do it. Number two, sometimes you just need a mental break from school. I know people think, oh, I just need to study nonstop. No, having those little breaks helps with your retention, okay? It kind of breaks that cycle. You get out, have some fun, it's good. You gotta do it. And number three is that you need it for your body. I'm gonna tell you, studying for hours and hours and hours is going to kill your back, kill your neck, it's gonna kill your knees, it's gonna kill your hips. You're gonna feel crappy, okay? A lot of students have back issues and have neck issues. A lot of the students, because we're all looking down at our computer. You have to. It's just the way it goes. So exercising can keep you strong enough to study more hours, right? So if you don't like exercise, but you want to be a good student, well, this is why you have to exercise. So another huge aspect is diet, okay? So you have to feed yourself the right fuels to handle this workload. So I'm a huge proponent of eating breakfast. I know everybody says that. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, I think it is because you just fasted for a long time. If you don't eat, 3-4 hours after you wake up, man, your blood sugar is gonna drop and you're not gonna perform your best. So what I do is I just make a protein shake, okay? Just a little protein shake, bam, put it in water, mix it, it's fast, easy. Sometimes I'll make a juice, a vegetable juice, because I brought my juicer from the United States, carrot juice, something like that. But you don't have to do that. Just eat breakfast. Eat something good, like oatmeal. Oatmeal with some protein or maybe, I don't know. But, something like that. It'll keep you fueled. That's really important. Okay, now sleep. I know it's cool, it sounds cool to sleep only 5 hours, 6 hours, because yeah, you have more time. That's such a bad way to look at it. I know I had this thing where I was watching a lot of videos on Elon Musk and I got really inspired. I thought, if I can only get 6 hours sleep, I have 2 more hours to study. Well, I felt like crap all the time and my memory retention went way down. So get 8 hours of sleep, or close to 7. You have to find the amount of sleep that works perfect for you. I know sometimes you might be a little lagging because things just take a little longer, but you really need to make sure that you get a good sleep cycle, You can't just keep staying up until 12 and then get up at 6 or something like that. Find a cycle that you can handle, okay, where you're getting 8 hours of sleep. That's very important. Okay, the last point I want to make is that I want you to go have fun. It is so important. I thought it was so cool to just study my ass off for 8 hours a day, whatever, and not take any breaks, by having fun or anything like that. I think that is a poor way of looking at life, because really that's not sustainable. You need to go out and have fun, okay? If that's Friday night or Saturday night or whatever. Obviously, there's some balance, okay? So you have to limit yourself to maybe one night a week that you go out and have some fun. Or during the day, you'll go out and snorkel for a couple hours. That stuff is great. You need to do it because it's good to get out and be with other people and talk about things that are not related to school. It's important for your mental health. You can't be going out every weekend really hard, Friday and Saturday night. That way, doing that can really negatively affect your grades. I've seen it. And it's really sad because you've come here to do medical school and people can't control that one, going out. They can't control themselves. So go out, have fun, but don't go crazy, okay? So those are my tips on how to kill it in St. George University.